today, it feels like a ramble day because they are finna get out of jail. I almost feel I'm low key concerned for my folks in DC because it's gonna be like the unleashing of the hordes. I don't know if you ever watched Game of Thrones, but there's
Oh
that
yeah,
one episode. You know, the one episode where we learn how Hodor gets his name because he was holding the
yeah.
door because all
Hold
the
the
demons on the
door.
other side.
Hold the door.
Man,
Yeah,
Hodor got run down.
yeah.
That door is opening.
It's just it's weird as we celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Mm.
And our new president and Robert E. Lee Day if you're in Mississippi and Alabama.
Also that. Also that.
Um, it feels like one of those. You ever been down south and it's raining on a sunny day
Mm-hmm.
where you can like
Yeah.
see the rain on the other side of the street type of thing? It's like, man, this is a
Yeah.
beautiful day, but over there, whew, okay. I don't know where it's going. I don't know which way it's going to go. He talking about Gulf of
Yeah.
Mexico. He talking about deportations. He talking about all types of pardons and whatever. So we gonna see.
We gonna see. I kind of feel like the world is seeing though. Like I was reading over the weekend how one of the ambassadors from Germany had written this report to the German higher ups or whatever, basically saying, "Hey man, this administration they ain't gonna be no respect for the law. They're gonna destroy the free press. They're gonna use the military, weaponize it. I mean, and it got leaked, so obviously that's gonna be awkward as the
Hmm.
ambassador sits on the dais. But it feels as though the rest of the world is really clear. The president of Mexico, as you mentioned, the nation, she's like, "Oh, you want some of this? I got you. Like we good. We got folks in Canada, premiers talking about they gonna listen. If y'all gonna come for us, we gonna turn off your heat. How about that? You ain't gonna have no gas. Ain't gonna have no hot water." I feel like the rest of the world might be onto
Oh
some things
no.
that we inside may not be as aware of.
Yeah, it's about to get real interesting over the next
Mm,
4 years. But I think more so at the state and local level because how this administration behaves in Washington will inform how your state reps and state capitol people and your city council persons
right.
and your mayors are going to behave as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. What
so we'll
when we
see.
think about the state level, when if we're going to go back to insurrections, I always remember that when the insurrection was happening at the Capitol, there were like eight or nine other states where the state capitals were also under some sort of attack where people were trying to break in and disrupt the counting of votes. So it's yeah, I don't know. It
Poll
feels like
work
the
about to be that's about to be the
mm,
new tactical job. Hey,
ooh, that's
them poll
scary.
workers. Listen, I listen. If we want a safe democracy, we gotta get them old people. Y'all can't count the votes no more. We gotta get somebody in there with some hands.
Listen, we actually had an elder who is in California. Shout out to you, Miss Alpha. But Miss Alpha called in because she was one of the only people in her San Bernardino County community, and she was a poll worker. And she was like, "I'm seeing the signs go up. I'm seeing like the Trump supporters come out, and I'm scared." And she had asked the local DNC party reps to put her in another site because she's like, "If I'm gonna do poll working at this site, these people crazy." And they put her right back in the midst of the crazy. We
Mm.
had a listener, Brother Bernard. Shout out to you, Brother Bernard. I never met either of these people in person, but Brother Bernard was listening. This brother was like, "You know what? What you ain't gonna do is have my elder out there by herself." He drove 2 hours from wherever he lived in California to her house on the day of the election to get her safely to the polls, sat out in his
Wow.
car the whole day, and then made sure she got safely back home. And when you think about it, either we're gonna have elders with that sort of protection, or we're gonna have to have some young people in there who understand what hands look like and how to count. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the big question with this administration for me is Trump in charge or are the billionaires in charge?
That part.
Because folks can be your friend and then one day they have power over you.
Mm,
So
yeah.
we'll see. But
Yeah.
you know,
Well, he's essentially turned himself into a billionaire. I know there were doubts about that before, but he launched a meme coin over the weekend. It's so much that happened this weekend. That's why
hmm
I told the audience this weekend could have been a year's worth of news. He launched a meme coin and made tens of billions of dollars on a Bitcoin type thing, and just like that, he made tens of
hmm
billions of dollars on something that didn't even exist 72 hours ago. So maybe he and he and the billionaires might be
Hey,
one of the same at this point.
listen, if you gonna scam, and then Melania dropped a coin a week after selling a dock for 40 million. So they didn't just
Mm,
ran the hustle. They
right.
didn't ran the hustle. Here's a big question I had. I would love to ask you because
Yes.
you are a woman of intellect. And
Thank you.
same way some of the listeners might be familiar with me, I am familiar with you.
Thank you.
Are we? And I don't like. I operate. My depth of politics goes as deep until I find the joke. Once I find a joke, I'm out. Like, get into the deeper truth and the ramifications and the ripple effects and what you all need to be thinking about in midterms. You see, in 2026, the dichotomy of these two administrations, I ain't got that brain. You have
Sir,
that
we saw
brain.
you at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. You most
Yeah.
certainly have that brain.
And I was hopscotching from joke to joke. I ain't staying in one pocket too long. I'm like, let me stop before they know I'm dumb. Do you think that Joe Biden's pardoning or protections or whatever Super Mario mushroom he just gave to Dr. Fauci and all of them to protect them from, and the Jan 6 committee, I think as well, was given
Yeah.
like a
Yep.
preemptive pardons this morning.
Yep.
Does that set in line the merry parade of crimes for Trump to be able to do the same thing? Should we have sacrificed Fauci and them for the sake of being able to prosecute Trump and them on the backside of 28?
You know, I got to be honest with you. I think that merry band of criminality was already in place. And at this point, it felt like Joe Biden was like, you might take me down, but you won't take me out. Like, he was like, I'm going to do whatever I got to do to hold on to these people. Because the crime was already happening. Like, they have been a criminal enterprise from day one. And I don't think they needed any excuses from anybody, certainly not a Democratic president who they don't have any respect for anyway. I don't think they needed any permission from him to do anything that they are doing, have planned to do, will continue to do. And frankly, I'm hoping we still have elections. I do. I really do hope we still have elections. But I feel like the fact that Kash Patel, for example, who's supposed to be, what is he going to be, the head of the FBI? I can't remember. The time is a flat circle. But he's got a whole ass enemies list. Like, that he published. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like theoretically, you know, I might one day, if I had it in my way, to be able to have some vengeance. The man had a whole ass list.
Yes, coming in petty, off the top.
Right.
I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think what this is going to, if we ain't gonna learn nothing else in the next 4 years, we're gonna learn how strong that fabric is of the Constitution that this country was supposedly built upon. That everybody go respect the words of the Constitution, then you get in office and start trying to change the words. Start trying to add all these terms and conditions.
Yeah.
We're going to see, it's two things that's going to get tested real strong out the gate. Freedom of speech because of attacks on journalists and potentially comedians.
Yeah.
And birthright citizenship.
Yep. Both.
Them going to be the two.
Both and.
And we're going to see how that roll. And then from
How are
there,
you-
we'll see.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying, from there, we'll see.
Yeah. You whispered the and comedians part, but that to me that's a pretty significant conversation.
I need you to
actually.
whisper that part so I don't go to jail.
Okay. So how are you doing? It's just you and me. Listen. Bro, what you doing? How the rest of us can prepare.
I ain't changing nothing. Because here's the thing. You can decide whether or not I did or said the thing. It really won't matter what I said. It's like, this is terrible to say, but it's what I feel. If a cop, no, it's the truth. If a cop needs a reason to give you a ticket, he can come up with a reason to give you a ticket.
Come on.
And that's where
right.
freedom of speech and whether or not this is abusive language to the president, you're going to have to acknowledge that you're sensitive, though. You start locking folks up for that, you got to acknowledge that you're sensitive. And I think we have a president now, well, starting later today, I think we will have a president that still wants to be seen as cool and still wants to be seen as a man and masculating. And sticks and stones, you start crying over sticks and stones, that ain't a man. And so I'm hoping that type of man code that Trump supposedly wants to stand on will be enough to protect comedians and journalists, from his wrath. But I don't know if it's the police locking you up for talking crazy like we in the old days, or if it's a bunch of fines and tariffs and censoring of those networks, or, oh, I don't like what that joke you did on CNN, so Jim Acosta can't come to the White House briefings because I'm mad at Roy. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be that type of thing. But if I didn't learn anything else in my time with the Daily Show, is, you batten down the hatches. And, I'm
Mm,
less concerned about the government coming after the media and more about just regular folks who think it's their job. Let me tell you something. I don't
ah,
think we've ever had a president that has motivated more volunteer patriots than
listen.
Donald Trump. Boy, they be showing up and policing. Karens be coming up asking you, do you live here? You got
Yep.
boys coming up going, are you even from here? You got people at the polls going, where's your ID?
Mm,
A lot of patriots gonna be coming
mm.
around, and I'm gonna be out there with them cameras, and I want you to know I got something else on me than an extra camera battery if you see me out there. So I'm going home.
Listen, listen, I'm going to the house.
I'm
I
like
will be
Michael
at the
Douglas
house.
on Falling Down. Clear a path. I'm going home.
I'm out in
So
peace.
I'm more on the swivel for
Yeah.
the political zealots who see the media in a way. That's why I'm kind of about that Luigi Mangione praise, because that
Mm,
could bleed into some other stuff. I completely
right,
understand the system that was in place to inspire someone to do something that wild to another
right,
human being. I understand the
right,
catalyst for that. But if it's that for healthcare, Luigi's healthcare is somebody else's media.
right. Exactly. Or racial justice. They want to put a stop to all of this DEI, all this woke nonsense, and frankly,
I
there's far too many Americans on too short of a string for us to not take that seriously.
My second field piece at the Daily Show in 2015 was the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March, and I was out there with a bunch of
Wow.
cameras, and we getting sound bites on the mall with black folks or whatever. And I saw D. Ray McKesson, and
Mm,
this is when the blue vest was still fresh. He was,
yeah.
he hadn't gone through his full arc where he is now. But I even then, and this is post Trayvon, I didn't understand everything he had been dealing with and going through.
Right.
And I go, hey man, can I interview you? And then he said something along the lines of essentially, I'm here, but not until I'm gone.
Mm.
And I didn't get it at the time, but after a couple of death threats and weird emails and DMs and weird
Ah.
packages mailed to me at the Daily Show, like, oh, I get it.
Wow.
You can't let your presence be
Wow.
known in the moment. Your presence has to be a past tense occurrence at all
Mm.
times.
Yes.
So it's it's little nuanced moves about how I'm going to move in public and how I move online
Mm.
that you have to just be, mindful of.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that,
I'm glad to hear you say that because my I was recently at an event in California for the Legislative Black Caucus for their Black History for their Martin Luther King Jr. event, and I didn't post about it. I posted about it on like LinkedIn a few days later, but I didn't post about it in real time, and I got a little bit of flack for it. And I was like, I'm not comfortable anymore letting people know in advance where I'm going to be in a space. And there's a question, I have a form for like if you need me to come do a speaking engagement. One of the questions I ask is about security. And because I'm at a point where it's like, and I'm no, I can safely go grocery shopping and nobody recognize me. I'm not anywhere near to a point where celebrity is something that I have to worry about. But because I have a big mouth, Roy Wood Jr., and because I say things that my mama said would probably be nicer if I just kept them in my head, but I can't because I got to say them outside. I feel the spirits compelling me to say it out loud. I realize like I don't post pictures of my kids online because I don't, there are strange, weird, angry people out there, and so the idea that those are the sorts of things that I'm actively thinking about increasingly, and it makes sense to hear that a D. Ray was having to have that conversation back in 2015, because for a lot of folks who are doing the work of truth telling is going to matter when we can tell the truth and leave safely and make it back to wherever our home base is. But a lot of folks, I think, are going to have to start moving somewhat differently than they do before.
yeah, I mean, it's the little things like when you call the Uber and you wait until the Uber's out front, so you're physically in motion the entirety of when you leave an establishment into the car. All
Mm.
that waiting around the curb, the Uber's a minute away. He should be. No,
Yo.
that's done. But
Right.
it's so funny to have had that moment 10 years ago or so with D-Ray. And then, and literally, I've been at the Daily Show a month. And everything I'd
Mm.
done before that was BET's Comet View, Conan, and a
Mm.
TBS sitcom. And my stand up hadn't even gotten into drilling the screws of like, I hadn't even done
Wow.
my first hour special yet. So I had not yet evolved And so now here I am 10 years later, and I'm like, man, that was a wild time. What the hell was I doing out of the National Mall with all them folks mad at black people? I was just walking them to them. Why you mad at black people? Why can't we come here to meet and do them all?
Would you still do that sort of an act now?
Oh yeah, you just got to move different. You know, the Daily Show has always been big on security. I'll give them that because, you know, Jon Stewart pissed off a lot of people in his first tenure, as did low key John Oliver. Before John Oliver went to HBO, John Oliver would host the whole summer of daily shows, and boy, them damn death threats would be coming to that building. In nice little, it was like Jackie Robinson. Remember Jackie Robinson in 48, 42? And Harrison Ford character dumped all the whole basket of death threats on the table.
God.
Like that. There's the only time I've legit been scared when I did Daily Show was we did a field piece in Montana. It was a pro-gun rally where no one could bring their guns.
Oh, wow.
That's funny.
Wow.
Just you love guns, but also just in case, guys, let's not bring. And so all I did was walk around this rally and ask people where their gun was at and why you ain't got your gun. And it went, and off that single question, the conversation can go a million different ways, and it did.
Right.
And I think because the rally was so small, we're talking like 70 people, they started peeping game. And you could tell that they knew. Like, I know you're making fun of me. I can't nail how, but you're doing something to me, ain't you, boy? And then the dude at the rally, and you can pull this up on YouTube. You just search like Daily Show Gun Rally Montana or whatever. The dude at the rally goes, they ran out of speakers, right? They like used up all these speakers. They were like, does anybody out there want to come up here and say a word about the guns? And I was like, you damn right I do.
Oh my God.
And I got my ignorant ass up there at a pro-gun rally where you couldn't bring guns, and I roasted them people on their own microphone, on their own stage, and ran immediately to the van.
Now, would you have done that had they had their guns? Time and space.
It depends on how many security. What's my security number? If I'm rolling like Jordan Klepper, then yeah.
Got you.
Now, you want to talk about somebody who got to keep that thing and keep them boys close to him is Jordan Klepper.
Listen, that's
Jordan Klepper be going up on the MAGA's Trevor. They sent Jordan. They tried to send one of us out first, like when before the Trump rallies became Jordan's like thing that he would like kind of get in the groove with.
Right.
Trevor would come in them correspondent means, all right, there's a Trump rally. Who wants to go to the Trump? That's my Trevor Noah. Who wants to go to the Trump rally? Roy, Dulce, would you like to go? Would you look at the black folks?
Out your damn mind.
Yeah.
Leave that to the folks who can do it. Do it safely.